next lesson, what we're going to do is we're going to define a site in Dreamweaver. So the first thing we need to talk about is why we need to define a site in the first place. So I'm going to try to go easy in the explanation, and I'm going to show you by example. So first thing I want to notice is you want to notice that each page I'm going to click on in the next few seconds is a different file. Just to prove it, keep an eye on this here, okay? And this is going to prove to you that you know, I'm clicking through different files. So when I click on here, it changes to hours, okay, and then to brew, eats, book, where, and contact. Even though these look like much the same pages, as you can see, they're all different files. All right. So inside of this folder here, okay, and again we're looking at the finished product. Okay, all of the files in these folders are interlinked, entwined in some kind of in a web of links. So all the graphics all the graphics files here, all my slices, all right, those are all linked to the pages, okay, and all my web pages here are linked between each other. Okay, for example, I could go from this page to this page here by going, you know, if I were in book, I can go to brew. All right, so what you want to notice is if you were to change the name of one of these files, it's going to break that link. Okay, for example, let's go to images, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the name of this slice to instead of button book, okay, I'm going to change to underscore button book. Now what I've just done is I've changed the file name. Okay, every one of the files, every one of the web page file is looking for button book, not underscore button book. All right. So because I changed the name, the program is not going to be able to, you know, it's not going to be able to find that file anymore. So if I refresh that page, okay, all of a sudden this link goes missing. All right. Now if I go back to here and I, you know, correct that, then it shows up again. And the same thing with the web pages. If I go to pages and I change this contact to underscore contact, well, every other web page in this website is connected to contact, not underscore contact. You know, the computer is not smart enough to really to figure this out. Instead, what it's going to do is if it tries to if I go to contact, okay, it's not going to find that file. And no matter what page I go to, so if I go from hours to contact, it won't find it. If I go from brew to contact, it won't find it. That's because the contact page doesn't exist. It's now called underscore contact. And the same kind of idea with folder names and file names and whatnot. And this is a pretty small website, but you can imagine if it's but even so, if you were to for some reason need to change the name of your files, change the name of the folder, or to move one folder into another folder, that would be a very laborious process, because you'd have to spend a lot of time you know, fixing all the files which link to the file or the folder that you just changed. Now instead, what I'm going to do is in Dreamweaver, once you define a site and you see the green folders, you can do the exact same thing without and it's very painless. Now watch this. So I'm going to do the same thing here. So in this example here, I'm going to go contact. Okay, I'm going to go underscore contact. I'm going to hit enter, and Dreamweaver is asking me, do you want to update the rest of these files? All right, and the reason why it's asking me this is because you define a site, Dreamweaver knows how everything in this site is linked together. So if you were to change a link, okay, Dreamweaver is asking you, do you want to update the links? And the answer is most case yes. So I've done the same thing here. I go back to my website, okay, F5 to refresh, and you can see my contact link will still work. All right. How do I know that the file name has actually been changed? Have a look here. All right. The underscore shows up. So instead of having changed 6 different pages to update my link to this contact page that I changed, it did it for me, and that is a huge advantage and a big time saver. and everything, because if I were to change something big such as the name of a folder, all right, to let's say _pages, again it's gonna update it for me. Okay, so all the work that's doing here I would have to do manually if I if I didn't define a site. Okay, so that's where we're going to end up. So let's get started here. So where we're going to start is you should have, let me just close this off here. You should have a start folder. Okay, like I discussed in the last video, what you need before you get started with this set of lessons. And once you have this folder, we're ready to start. So some ground rules again is that no spaces in file or folder names from now on. No symbols except for the underscore. Okay, and all your work, everything related to the website goes into the same folder. Nothing is outside the folder, and I'll explain that later. To define a site in Dreamweaver, you want to open Dreamweaver. Okay, and yours should look something like this. Go site, new site. Okay, give your site a name. I'm just going to call mine. I'm just going to call my website. All right, and then click next. No, you don't want to use server technology. Click next. Now, in this screen here, what you're doing is you're telling Dreamweaver where in your computer do you want to store your files. So for yours, it's going to be your Z drive, okay, and that folder that you just created. So mine is on my it's on my F drive, and it's right here. Okay, so yours is on your Z drive. Open it up, and then click select. All right, and then you should see this on your screen, except this will be Z instead of F. Okay, gotta be careful here not to choose a subfolder within this website, but you want to choose the root folder of your website. Repeat myself, you want to choose a root folder of your website, not a subfolder. Okay, example, this is the root folder, okay, and this, for example, is a subfolder. Okay, this is another subfolder. Okay, so you want to choose a root folder of your website. Okay, when you've done that, just click next. Okay, now how do you connect to your remote server? Now for now, I'm going to click on none because we don't have a remote server. Normally we click FTP, and I'm going to talk about this in a little bit right after we finish defining a site. So right now we don't have a remote server, so click none and then click next. Okay, and then done. So when you click done, what you should see is this, and what's important to see is that you see a green folder here and you see these green folders here. All right, and it's probably pretty fast. You probably didn't notice it, but what Dreamweaver did is that once you define a site, Dreamweaver scanned your entire folder. Okay, so Dreamweaver scanned this entire folder, and it knows exactly what's linked with what. So in this case, the main design page here, okay, is linked with all the images in all the slices in here, and Dreamweaver knows that. Okay, and the green folders tell you that. So here's the name of your site, and the green folders tells you that you have a site defined. Okay, now once you have a site defined, now listen carefully to this. Anytime you need to move a file from one folder to the other, anytime you need to so for example, if you need to move a file from here to somewhere else, anytime you need to rename a folder, okay, anytime you need to create a new folder, delete a file, rename a file, you must do it from within Dreamweaver. Okay, and if you do it from within Dreamweaver, what's going to happen is Dreamweaver is going to be able to correct the links for you. So for example, if I want to change images to _images, okay, I hit enter. Dreamweaver knows that all of the files in images, okay, all the slices in images, okay, are linked to main design. So if I change the name of this file, okay, or this folder, it's gonna make my page well, basically disappear. If I change it from inside Dreamweaver, like I just did, it's gonna ask me, do you want to update this page? Update it. And then if you open main design.html, go to code and look at it, you notice that it changed them all for me right here. And just in another example, okay, if I change it back like this, update, okay, and you can see that it changed. there's no longer any space there for me. So you can imagine how much work it's going to be to change all of these little, all these links manually.